Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of the CultureCast. This is eXp's official diversity, equity, and inclusion podcast, and it is the bi-weekly podcast about what makes us us. I'm thrilled to have Joellen Brooks here today. We're talking about long-term care. It's National Long-Term Care Awareness Month, and Joellen is someone from the Seniors Network who has a ton of experience on this side. So we're pleased as punch to have her here. Welcome, Joellen.
Thank you so much for having me, Cody.
Of course. of course. Can you give us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about yourself.
I'm Joellen Brooks. I'm a realtor here in Northern California, and I have a senior elder care background. I'm a mom of 5 kids. My youngest is 9, and my oldest is 34. So
Nice. That's wonderful. Yeah, so I come to this as someone who really cares a lot about elder care and long-term care. That's something that we put really forward in eXp Seniors Network with the promotion of Heather Brooks and Eve Hill to the co-chair roles. It's something that they both care really deeply about. So this is something that if you want to learn more about it, the Seniors Network is absolutely full of resources. So I'll ask you from the start, Joellen, why is National Long-Term Care Awareness Month important?
National Long-Term Care Awareness Month is really important because it encourages families and loved ones to get out there and take a look and get prepared at the type of things that their aging loved one's going to need, such as independent, facility or maybe in-home care. Basically just go over the needs and what the loved one would like to go through. Do they want to stay in their home and bring in caregivers? So it's really important because it's the month to deep dive into long-term care and what is it and how to start planning for it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think it's important to build awareness there because I think so many of us, when we start having this conversation, it all seems gloom and doom, right? When there are so many options available to us and to our loved ones as they age in 2023.
Absolutely. And then they're just coming. I mean, from safety technology to just having in-home care and knowing all the different communities that are growing. They do say right now that there are going to be more people by the time of 2030 to be at the age of 65 than under the age of 18.
Wow.
So that's pretty huge.
And that's, it has to do with us being able to last longer as humans and us being able to live full, healthy lives.
That's right. Yeah, our sentinels, right? Centennials.
Centennials. Yeah.
They are doubling. They're living
a
little over 100 years.
Wild. It's crazy. And I really love, something that we made this year for Seniors Month, which we'll be back at Seniors Month again next year. But we have in eXp World a senior interactive home where we show you how to, it's really cool, right? It shows you how to redo your home so that it's more accessible for a senior, so they don't just have to move out into an accessible home. You can make your own home accessible following these.
Some modifications within the home that they currently have. That's right.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I'm excited to say that as we move from eXp World to Frame, our new version, that senior living space is going to be so much more robust and realistic and a real portrayal. So coming Seniors Month next year, I hope everybody really has a good time going through that home and learning a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. So why personally has aging in place been a personal priority for you?
So it's been a personal priority for me for a few reasons. Number one, taking care of family. I was able to help my husband's grandmother age in place in her own home where she wanted to be for about 4 years prior to bringing us into our home in 2021 when her dementia, fully came aboard and she needed 24-hour care. We brought her into our home. But just being able to find technology such as pill boxes, motion sensors, using a camera, putting these things in her home that helped us basically leave, her to live independent for as long as she could. And then we would bring in part-time care. So we always added where we needed to add. We started with a normal pill box, a 7-day, 14-day supply that she could access herself.
Mm.
And what we found out was she was doubling her pills because I had actually put a camera on the counter and I would
Oh.
call her to take her pills. Well, what she was doing in the morning, and she did it at night with the same pills.
Oh.
So then I said, okay, this is serious. Now what we found was we searched online for an automatic pill box, and we went through about 4 or 5 of those until we found one we really liked. And we would set up the pills for 60 days, morning and night. She would go over, a little bell would ring. She would push the button, and the pills would dispense into a little cup.
Wow. For that appropriate time of day.
For that part, yes, exactly. So she wasn't getting over medicated. She was taking it at the exact time. And she just had to push one little button and it would light up green. And then I, as her caregiver from afar, was able to make sure that she was being compliant and getting those daily doses.
That's really cool. I'd never heard of something like that. That's a really innovative little trick. I'm somebody that lives with ADHD, so I have a pill divider for all of my various and sundry medications that I take at morning and night. And, when I run out of the pills, then I have to remind myself to refill it. And that I often don't. So then I know at night, I know which 3 pills I need to go take. But then I'll sit on the couch and convince myself that I already took them, which then gets me into a cycle of, if I didn't take them, then then I'm not going to be able to sleep. And if I did and I take them again, that's a problem, right?
Right. And it may only be 2 pills, 2 in the morning, 2 at night.
Right.
But for someone who's starting to have cognitive issues, and they're trying to stay and track and do their medications properly, they need the help. So long-term care means a lot to me. I've always been an advocate. I've been a caregiver, in the nursing home when I was 18, taking care of Alzheimer's patients, to taking care of family members. And then in about 2013, I started a company where a friend's father invented these little motion sensors. And they place these motion sensors throughout the house, and it's connected with an app. And if the senior or the mom or dad doesn't move out of a specific room or is traveling through the house at a certain time, they get a text message and alert that says, Mom hasn't left the bathroom. So I was one of the first 5 employees for this company called Safe and Home, which was really nice. And now I'm actually going out to the fields in these homes, and I'm meeting with the families who are concerned about mom falling. We were able to help with caregivers. Like if the caregiver didn't show up on time, it would let the aging child know, or the adult child know the caregiver's not there. There's a lot of things that it really helped. It saved a lot of our clients from a fall and notified the adult child.
It's really amazing. I don't think I've put 2 and 2 together how far this has come with the advent of the smart home and cameras and all this kind of thing, how that could help seniors. That's really something. I think about, I had both of my great grandmothers. One, the only sort of assistance we had for her was a life alert.
Yeah, right.
That's it. That's all. And then, we had somebody that would come in and check on her every once in a while. But then when she ended up having to go to a home, I think everybody in the family recognized that for our family was not a good choice.
Right. And it's obviously, if they are starting to have some memory issues, they're not going to remember to push the button. So,
yes, that.
Yeah. So these motion sensors would do it for them. They would ask for help when they couldn't ask for help. So that then started my journey through technology and senior care. Now I'm, going into assisted living communities. I'm going to independent, and I'm offering them these systems to purchase for their apartments so that one of their residents, if they fall in the middle of the night, they can get to them faster. So
that's amazing.
And then, talking with the family members, and it's always really different, the dynamics with the brothers, the sisters, and who's going to take care of mom. Usually it's the youngest child, whether it's a boy, a male or female, but it's usually the youngest one. But they have different choices. One might say, you know what, we don't need to, mom's fine. She can drive, she can drive. The other one say, no, mom can't drive, and just the back and forth and who's right and who's wrong. there's a lot of it. And there's also a lot of times where the families don't want to step in because they don't want to upset their parent. They don't want to make them mad. They don't want
Yeah.
to be taken off the inheritance. I've heard that many times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that, and the great grandmother on my father's side, she got dementia, right? And it was that flavor of dementia where she was easily agitated and would, say things that were out of character for her, right? Like, kind of mean, I guess you would say.
yeah.
So when the family, I was, yeah, I think I was 9 or 10, but she died when I was pretty young. But I remember her being in a facility that just treated her like a scary, dangerous person,
Yeah.
and that's the last thing you want for someone who needs compassion like that, right?
Right.
I remember being terrified of going to that place.
Yeah. I
And
can see that could terrify you. I know when I walk in, I will still cry to this day walking in them. And I tour a lot of memory care facilities in the area. Just being a realtor in my community, the senior niche, I want to know where my clients are going to go to and to be able to refer them based on things that I have seen in those communities. But I understand how that can seem scary, especially when you're little.
Yeah, yeah. And I also think that those facilities really have come a long way, right? We had one, what we called an old folks home, right?
Right.
In my very, very small town, right? And it was sort of all encompassing, but I don't think they really at the time knew what we know now about Alzheimer's and dementia
They've
and all
evolved,
that,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And how we treat those people and what they can take and what they can't take, and those
And we have the ombudsmen that are over those, at least here in California, and they regulate making sure that everything is up to date. And if there's any compliance issues, or that's kind of where they get their rating, is from the ombudsmen. So they're on our side to help us go into those communities. And you can actually reach out to them before going to the community, just to kind of find out like what's going on, what their stats are like, and any incidents that have been had there.
That's really great. So I've got a question for you, and this one's kind of broad, but how can individuals and families better prepare themselves for the potential financial and emotional burdens associated with long-term care?
Start the conversations early. Talk to your mom or your dad and find out what the plan looks like as far as the budget. What does their retirement look like? You can also get an elder care placement manager involved. Start taking weekend trips out to these different communities. If there is somebody who might need, senior low income, those apartments are out there. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Definitely look to, maybe a local realtor too, that is in this industry, that can help you, lead you, maybe go on a tour with you, and know the questions to ask when, going to these communities, working with elder care attorneys, your CPA, just having a financial plan.
So I know that you carry the designation SRES. Can you explain to folks what that designation is?
Yeah, that allows me to work with people 55 and older. I've taken a few courses that gave me that designation, but it just talks about all the demographics, how to treat someone who's 55 and older, also about certain tax, breaks that they can get. We're not CPAs, but we do have some information that we can help, give them that information. It allows us to just, work with 55 and older. We're experienced in that. That's our demographics. And hopefully that, that's someone that it's near and dear to your heart, like seniors are to me. So
That's fantastic. I love that there exists that designation so that we can acknowledge that it's a different set of skills that you need for seniors, right?
right.
That's one thing that I've learned, right off the bat from jumping into this position in DAI, where I'm overlooking all the 1EXP groups. I didn't realize what a specialized set of skills it is that you needed for this particular niche, right? And our seniors network has always been so good at educating folks about that.
Well, definitely having this designation, it also teaches you who do you need to have on your team? Our seniors need movers, they need placement managers, they need maybe a physical therapist, home health, whatever. Maybe they're not even ready to move, but we can bring these resources into them and help them for the time being. So yeah, just having all that team of vetted vendors with me as well.
That's fantastic. I'm fascinated with you as a realtor and the way that you're able to speak about how you serve your niche. You're somebody that we met at eXp which is,
So fun.
bringing people together since 20 whenever, right?
Yeah.
It should be the tagline. That's I meet so many great people, but you really stood out in my mind as somebody that's got so much to offer to folks. And
Oh,
um I just thank you for coming on this podcast. I think it's really cool to have you here. I look forward to seeing what you're going to do with the
thank
Seniors
you.
Network.
I also wanted to, point out there, I'm not sure if you were going to get to this, but the misconception of long-term care. A lot,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
this is.
that's the next
Oh,
big topic
okay.
I want to talk about, because I know
Thank you.
that there are so many misconceptions. And honestly, I think I may have been playing into one just now, that misconception that all these assisted living facilities are scary, right? That
Yeah,
maybe is one
yeah,
of the
that's true.
misconceptions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're not all scary like that. I mean, you never know. I mean, there are some bad apples, right? But
Mhm.
most of them are beautiful. They have cafeterias, spas, get your hair done, your nails done. They go shopping. I mean, the ones that we have in my area look like resorts,
Yeah.
infinity pools, pickleball. Like it just depends on what level of care. But I'd highly recommend someone going to one that starts with assisted living, and then you can transition to where you need maybe memory care on the same, community, same community. But the misconception a lot, which I found out with my own mom, she literally thought like Medicare or health insurance is going to pay for your assisted living.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. The
Mhm.
only insurance that will pay for it pretty much is a long-term care insurance. And that's a private insurance that you have to go and speak with a long-term care agent. You know, those premiums could, they're pretty costly, but you
Mhm.
definitely want to start early, start when you can, because also, and another thing about assisted living is you might not be going there for age, but you could go there for an accident, a car accident, something that happened to you and has debilitated you and you need that care. So
Right.
we're never too young to start long-term care insurance. um, and health
That's
insurance
pretty
is
amazing. I'd never even heard of long-term care insurance. This is why I like you so much, Joelle. Every time we talk, you tell me something that I've never heard before, and that's really cool.
yes. And also home care, caregivers here in our area in California is about $28 an hour for
Hmm.
24-hour care. They're looking at paying out of their pocket $20,000 a month to have them in home. It's all private. Now you'll get Medicare when you go to skilled nursing. If you fall and break your leg and you have to go there for 6 weeks, that'll, cover it. But it does end up capping out. It does go over, and then you're out of pocket.
Wow.
But yeah, those are some of the conceptions. Another great thing that I would want to mention too is that if you have a loved one that wants to age in place, do consider a reverse mortgage for them, because if they do have equity, you can pull that money out to pay for that care that they might need because of a traumatic accident that recently happened to them.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's uh, I think because of the trauma that I underwent in going to all the long-term care facilities, I am someone who really would love to age in place myself, right?
Yeah.
So I try to keep myself abreast of, like, what do I need around the home to make it continue to be accessible for me. I'm somebody who early onset dementia runs in my family,
Yeah.
so I have to prepare. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I understand. And it can be scary too when you have that history of your family. For many years, I've been scared of it as well, just because I've been around it so much in the communities with people seeing that happen. And, my husband's grandmother, and just the way statistics are with that disease that's happening, it's in the back of your head, right?
Yeah.
So definitely having yourself in a safe place where if you have stairs, at least you have one bedroom on the main floor, because it's going to be really hard if you need to get a hospital bed in the home, maneuver a wheelchair or a walker,
Yeah.
those type of things.
Yeah. And, I got sort of a front row seat. Listeners of the podcast will know this about me, but my father's a quadriplegic. So I've sort of been through the ringer of making a home accessible and why all those things are important. For instance, my dad has pocket doors on almost every door because he doesn't have use of his hands, right?
Right.
But you can put a strap on a pocket door, right, and pull it
Yeah,
closed. They're not the easiest to maintain pocket doors, and they can be tricky to install, but that handle helps, right?
that's
Um,
working for him. Yeah.
yeah, and room in your bathroom for adjustments to your shower in the future, right? If you need more than just a seat, if you need a roll-in shower, is there room in your bathroom for
Oh,
that?
absolutely. It's so hard to get help, even an elderly person or someone with a disability, trying to get them into that bathtub with getting their leg over the shower, putting the shower
Mhm.
chair one leg at a time, sitting them down. It's a lot of work. Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, I know some people, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? They're
Mhm.
not going to be able to move. They're going to have to do the best that they can. That's when you definitely want to call all of your resources and see how you can get help to first make you safe so you don't hurt yourself or injure yourself, because an injured caregiver is no good, right?
Right.
So definitely find your resources, and they're out there. There are resources out there that will help you.
That's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the Seniors Network. If you could give folks a brief pitch of why they should join the Seniors Network, what would that pitch look like?
So if they could join the Seniors Network, first of all, if you have a heart for seniors and this is something that you really want to make your niche and you want to work with seniors, definitely come over to EXP Senior Network, because in there what we're doing is we hold weekly meetings, we do masterminds, we talk about how to help build business in your communities on there. So we're really coming into collaborating. We're also sharing resources like this where someone might not know about, a reverse mortgage or how much home care costs. These things are going to better make you a better agent by knowing these things. Because now you sound like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. This is how much it's going to cost for care.
Yeah.
And
I
we're going
think I
to.
think that's brilliant. And I think often when we show people the list of 1EXP resource groups, they say, "Well, I'm not old enough for that one. I'm not young enough for that one. That's not my community." Whatever that is. But there is something there in all of the resources groups where you can learn from a community who carries a different set of expertise than you do. And I don't know where that's more clear than learning from our elders, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So if we say, why don't you go learn from the Latino community and see what they've learned, or go learn from the LGBT community and see what they've learned through their adversity? Of course, it's natural for us to say, go learn from our seniors because it's a given that they have more experience than us, right?
Right.
Um, and I just think it's a brilliant. Also, we call it the senior niche, but seniors are a gigantic portion of the housing sector and growing,
They
right?
are. Yeah.
Especially as we start talking about aging in place, where we're talking about these people still being active in the home buying and selling market, right? And
Right.
at much older ages than we used to see it.
And I think only 10% of the homes in the United States are 10% accessible. So chances are right now in your farm, in your location, you probably have about 30 to 60 in a 300 farm that they are ready to transition out because they have stairs.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's definitely, these are individuals that are not going to no longer be able to live in their home. And it's our job to get to them because they want to move, but they don't know where to go. They don't know who to call. They're scared. They don't want to get their children involved because they feel like they're going to lose their independence.
Yeah.
So
And
I'll
that's a real selling point for the seniors network too. If you're interested in diversity and inclusion and you're listening to this podcast, if you could have the skills to be that person for somebody who needs you, that speaks directly to our mission of diversity, equity, and inclusion,
And
right?
that's what we're doing in there, and that's how we're talking and training and collaborating, and just, I'm a new board member, so I've been
Mm.
on there for about a month or so, and right after I met you, and the feedback that I'm getting from our group they're loving it. They're amazed by it. They never thought about it, but yet they want to be at this level. And I just happen to have a background. I think that's why I was able to merge the two together. My background with seniors in real estate, I could just blend it together. And that's why I think it's working out so well for me.
That's fantastic. Is there any, have you ever encountered any seniors in the housing space, home buyers or sellers, who have experienced discrimination from a real estate agent? Is that something that they have to watch out for, being discriminated based on their senior age?
Not that I have heard of, but definitely being taken advantage of.
Mm.
You know, I heard from one lady, oh, you're not just a realtor that wants to sell my house. You're someone who cares. I was told
Mm.
that recently.
That's a really good point. Yeah. You know, in my prior life, before coming to work at eXp, I was in the banking sector. And it's something that at the ground level, when I was in the branches as a teller, as a personal banker, that sort of thing, it really was always part of my mission to make sure I didn't see seniors being taken advantage of. And it's something that you see constantly
Mm-hmm.
in the banking sector. When you're talking about, especially I worked in low income communities where seniors, they would get their checks and the money's just gone. And then you dig in and you see where the money went and it's like, oh my goodness. Or the seniors that would fall prey to scams as well, right?
That happened
And
to my
now that in the real estate sector, there, I mean, there's a real precedent for some serious scammery, right?
Yeah, there is. That's why I feel like it's my job for me to market to them, door knock, send my postcards, friend them on Nextdoor, because I know that they're going to be safe with me and I'm going to give them the best attention from beginning to end. So, like, yeah.
Oh, there's the mission statement. That hit me right in the heart. I love it when you say that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. Like you're saying, like some of them are paying a lot of money for medicines. Do you know some medicines cost $600 for a 60-day supply, and they might be on Social Security? And I mean, there's so many things that they're being hit with. And again, they're scared. They're scared. But if you can show them where they can move to next because their home isn't safe, and if they're home, and other than that, you might also be able to bring somebody in that can do a home modification to help them stay in the house for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Well, Seniors Network, we're talking about all the things on how to make this, happen in a really great and, give them a good experience right from the start.
That's brilliant. I love this conversation. This has really made it hit home in a really personal way about why people would be interested in this long-term care bit, right? Because it's your opportunity to be a superhero for somebody that needs it, right?
Yeah, I love that. I feel like my superhero power is being a connector and being able to just, talk first of all, just chat with everybody and say, oh, this is what you do. This is who you call. This is what you do. Don't worry. We'll handle it all, and like, wow.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing that, but I told you when we met at eXpCon that, within the first 5 minutes of meeting you, I had learned 15 new things. I was like, I feel like every time I talk to you, I need to take notes, right? I'm so glad I have this podcast so that this video exists and I can go back and watch it again, right?
I had a great time with you at eXpCon. That was so fun.
Yeah, it's always a good time. And I encourage anybody, if you ever see us out, One EXP or any of our resource groups out at one of the regional rallies or at eXpCon, please come out, hang out with us. Who knows, you might wind up being a guest here on the podcast. I might be able to tease out your superpower. I've done that a few times. People are like, I'm just a realtor. What are you talking about? And I'm like, no, you've got something special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did that with me. I was like, really?
I was like, do you know how fantastic you are? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So before we go, I want to ask, how can people get involved in the Seniors Network?
Yeah, so on the workplace, they can go and search up this eXp Seniors Network, connect with us there, and then come to one of our masterminds, our weekly masterminds. And also we have, really great speakers on. So definitely get involved with that. Send us personal messages because we love building relationships. But that's how I would start.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's so good. And Seniors Network is alive and kicking in a very, very vital community, like thriving. This is a community where I have to do the deep dive into what works and what doesn't work in our workplace groups to try and increase the membership.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Seniors Network, something that you see is immediate response is something that we measure, right? If somebody goes in and has a question, it's almost guaranteed that within 8 hours, they'll have at least one answer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting text messages. I'm getting phone calls from New Jersey
Yeah.
asking me, how did I do that? And, this thing that I did with Legion, and then Joelle and I did it. It's working. And then I'm just getting, you see the comments and the engagement
Mhm.
in there right now with all of this engagement with seniors and next door and all that stuff. I mean, they're happy and excited to do this.
Yeah, it's so good. And those masterminds are so good. You were just recently a guest on one of the masterminds talking about your next door stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
So I
YouTube.
would encourage folks, go and check that out. That lives in the Seniors Network. You could probably go in the Seniors Network and just search for Joellen Brooks and find it. Yeah, this has been a brilliant conversation. I thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
This is this has been an interesting day, but we got there, right?
Oh yeah, little bloopers. That's okay.
We'll have a blooper reel. You guys don't know what we're talking about because we're editing everything out, but there will be a blooper reel at the end of the year, and this one will have some bloopers from the beginning. Oh boy. Well, anyway, it was really lovely to have you, and everybody stay tuned for our next episode of CultureCast. We're getting close to the end of the 2023 season, so we've got a few more really great guests. And if you've got an idea for a podcast episode or a DEI topic that you are good at talking about, or you want to be a guest and you don't know what your topic is, you can also come to me and I'll find your topic. So I want to have anybody and everybody that's ready to have their voice amplified right here on the CultureCast. You can come and find me anytime or email us at dei@exprealty.net. Thank you very much, Joellen.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you, everybody.